Good morning! It is Sunday Assembly Manchester. We used to meet every month in person in Manchester. And now we meet every week online at 11 o'clock. That's what we've been doing. And it has been out of this world. It has. But today we have a special theme. On last night on the radio and I couldn't find the right thing. I nearly played the X Factor, which is wrong. Right, here we go. This is the big reveal, everyone, if you wondered what this is about. Yes! Today's theme is aliens! Aliens. Okay, that's enough of that. It is aliens. I just sort of explain. It's not normally like this. It's not, he is behind me, I know. It's not normally like this. We do lots of different themes, but we always have occasionally something a bit more interesting, a little bit different, a little bit fun. And that's what we're doing today. I've dressed as a banana in the past. Now I'm getting well into the aliens. So this is what Sunday Assembly is about. We're celebrating life. We are a secular society who welcomes all. And a good phrase is we welcome all who welcome all. So you're all welcome wherever you're in, wherever you're from. Whatever reason you're here, whether you're an atheist, whether you have belief, it does not matter. We welcome you, and that's important. And we believe in living better, helping often, and wondering more. And we're going to tick with a big tick the Wonder More box on this very event here. We do welcome aliens, Phil. Thank you very much for saying that. As you say, I brought my little green mate, and you yourself are looking very alien-y too. So we always start with a poem. We have songs, poets, speakers. We're going to have a moment of silence, and we're also going to let you know what's happening in upcoming weeks. So without further ado, I've really put off our poet. I'm so sorry. I'd like to introduce a very talented poet. It's Sharena Lee. Here she is. How are you doing? Sharena, do you believe in aliens?
I'm not too sure about aliens.
You're a little bit quiet, Sharena, for some reason, but you seem unmuted, so I don't know what's going on. Is your microphone gone a bit?
Oh, can you hear me?
Bit is it weird. Okay? Oh, it's not aliens, is it? I asked that question and then she was muted.
Is it really quiet?
I can hear her okay, Louise.
Still can't hear you.
It's fine.
So sorry, because I'm sure we spoke to you a minute ago.
Yeah, can you not hear me?
Technical people.
I was going to say, I think we can all hear you. I'm not sure if Louise can hear us. I think that might be the issue.
Louise, she's clear as a bell here.
You might need to remove your headphones, Sharena. Just go through the mic.
You, Louise.
Oh.
Now I can't hear anybody, is it?
Yeah.
Hello?
We can hear her. We can't hear you, Louise.
I think the issue is with Louise.
I don't know why
everyone can hear you but me.
Yes, don't worry about it.
Why is that? Oh, because I've got the X-Files playing. Oh, well done, Louise. I'm so sorry, Sharena. Just speak then.
It's okay.
Everyone's going, we can hear her, Louise. All right, fine. Maybe it was just me. It was the aliens. Sorry. Do you believe in aliens?
I don't actually believe in aliens, but I believe maybe there could possibly be something out there. Maybe.
Could possibly be something out there. I'll take that. Thank you so much. You don't have to. Any answer's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, please go wild for our poet today, Sharena Lee.
So I've got 3 poems to share, and the first poem I wrote is based on today's theme, or it's kind of based on today's theme, and it's called A Soul Thing. We are souls that have parted lands to be in the body we possess. They travelled light years through the universe, dilating a woman's cervix for her to give birth, as the soul of light enters through the heart. Bond in the oath of life, that body and soul will never part. A passenger till the body leaves earth. We are souls of the universe, of light and deeper meaning, of wisdom that goes beyond our own capabilities to breathe in. The body is deceiving. If only you could see what the soul has seen. Once we enter the body, the soul loses its visual memories, but we still sense things. We remember scents and smells, places that have triggered things that we have seen, long before we have seen it. We are naturally pulled towards the things we once adored, but don't see them, we feel it. It's only through the earth's magnetic vibrations we connect to what once was, It's only through the eyes that we can see, the soul that's longing to be here and present. It's that discontentment of craving what once was, but not knowing exactly what is, till you feel your very own heart beating, to the point it's so difficult sleeping. That feeling you have felt before, in a lifetime before, that deep calling that you can't ignore. It's a majestic feeling of needing what you left behind. It's beyond the surface of beauty in all things. It's what lays dormant, that feeling that once was, a memory of the unconscious mind, of a place and a time, a love you cannot find. It's a soul thing, of craving what is missing. No beauty can defy what lies under the clothing, that lies under the body's skin. The connection only leads to a soul feeling of missing its home beyond earth. Thank you. That was my first poem. And my second poem, so I do love what's beyond the universe and the stars and the moon. So I wrote this poem a while back called Sirius, and it's about the star. Sirius, lost in the deep layers of darkness, my eyes fixated on you. Do you notice me as I notice you? From such heights featuring the world view. My oracle has frozen my vision, never to thaw out, paralysed. For I seek no escape, it is I who is truly hypnotised. I see only you, a light reflecting in the dark, who ignites the flame and passion, but why is a big question mark? I wonder what lurks in your endless sky, that forbids me to love anyone else except you, watching down on me from up above. I seek your knowledge and strength, your guidance and willpower, such force generated that tames this wild flower. But I am captivated by your presence. I want to get closer. I want to see. While staring at you sets my spirit free. I could sit for hours in the darkness, only to follow your light in the distance. For you give me hope of a new existence. I lose myself in your honour. You replenish my soul and awaken my senses, cleansing my spirit and freeing me from all worldly pretenses. I want to levitate to your world, beyond the clouds, touching the passing sky, shed free from this chrysalis, reborn a butterfly. Possessed by your power, it is truly bizarre, captivated by your presence, Sirius the night star. Thank you. And my last poem is it's about leaving, so it could be to leave into another planet. It's called Let's Leave. Let's leave. Let's travel the world across foreign seas. Let me breathe in the air you release. Let's leave this place, let's leave. Let me see the sunset swirl in your eyes. Let me taste your sweet paradise. Let me see the crashing of the erupting sea rise. Let me. Let me see the life you have seen. Recreate your devilish nightmares into dreams. Let me heal your past memories. Let's leave. Let's climb rocky mountains and touch the clouds. Let's isolate from the noisy crowds. In you is my whole city and town. Let's be. Let's be. Droplets water making waves. Let's bathe in the arms of Mother Nature. Let's lay upon her earth as we give birth to a life we want to see. Take me to a land I've never seen, filled with dandelions and fields of green, a place only your heart has ever seen. Let's leave. Let's leave. Thank you very much for listening.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sharena Lee, let's go mad for her. What an absolute... You're getting so many amazing compliments, Sharena. I'm so sorry about the mic thing before. That was totally my fault.
Okay.
I throw the poet, Louise. It's live. What can I tell you? But I am sorry. We've got some really great feedback. People saying that you paint such an emotive picture, beautiful poems. I'm so much in love with these words. Just so much. I want to levitate to your world. Thanks so much. Beautiful constructed poems. Sense of clarity on a difficult subject. The praise is endless. Thank you so much for coming along today. Would you be able to share where people can find your poetry with us? Is that okay? Are you on a website? What do you do?
if you just type in my name, like on Google, lots of things come up. So like you'll see my poetry page, or it might link you to my website or my book. So yeah, if you just type my name and it all comes up.
Everything you need to know is right there. Thank you very much, Sharena Lee, everybody. Go wild. So here at Sunday Assembly Manchester, we cover lots of different topics, and today we are covering something a little bit different, and it's all because of our speaker today, Adam Wade, who is out of this world because he's one of the volunteers here at Sunday Assembly Manchester and has been an amazing tech host. Now, last week he was ill, and he's been so diligent, so committed. He's come every week, and he was ill, sadly. So we're glad that Adam is better, and I had to do the hosting and the tech hosting. So as you've just seen with the microphone, we're glad he's back. Just let's put it this way. We are pleased he's back in the house. But it is, I don't know exactly what Adam's going to tell us, so maybe he's going to tell us something amazing about aliens. But I do think they're quite fascinating. They enhance our imagination, they pique our interest. So many films has been made about them, so many ideas that there might be something out there in the night sky, that there might be aliens already, that things maybe aren't as they seem, very much seduce us into believing there might be aliens. So I don't know where you are on that. You might be someone, I'm someone who's a bit like, nah, probably not anything, mainly because I'm disappointed, not because they haven't come here yet, but because you know, there's always, oh, we found something. Oh, no, we haven't. Oh, there might be something on Mars. Oh, no, there isn't. Oh, there might be something in Jupiter. Oh, no, there isn't. And it's like, oh, so disappointing. So I sort of am a bit of a skeptic, really. But looking at the universe, it's big. It's big, big, big. We don't know anything about it. Maybe there is. I don't want to be proved wrong by, in 10 years' time, them turning up. I just hope they're friendly. Why are they always mean? If he's like that, I wouldn't do that. I'd be respectful. I'd go, hello, sir. How are you? Like that, and hope that he would understand what that is. And we've sent the Beatles music out in space. No one's responded. What can we do? What else can we do? We've done all these things. So hopefully one day we will get some sort of response. And I actually do want to find out. Oh, do we need aliens to have something to define ourselves against? Interesting, Phil. Also, only at Sunday Assembly can you find the comment in the chat box, who's interested in Plato? Or who's a Plato fanatic or something like that. I just thought that was great. Thank you very much, Phil. Keep your chattering going. You will get to get our speaker. You will be able to ask questions to our speaker. Whether he'll be able to answer them is another reason. Another thing. Also, how do we know he's not an alien? I'll leave you to decide. Ladies and gentlemen, our speaker for today is Adam Wade.
I don't know why I'm just out of habit. I'm
Wave
waving to
yourself.
everyone. I'm waving to
Wave
myself.
yourself.
Waving to myself.
I wave to myself. Very lovely to see you, Adam. I'm going to hand over to you because you're a whiz with a tech. I was going to ask some questions, but I won't now. But if you don't have any questions later, let us know. But let's find out what he has to say first. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Wade.
You wonder where I'm gonna kind of land on the issue, and I, as I keep telling people, if I say I'm not an alien, they're like, no one's gonna believe me. That's the issue with conspiracy theories. The more you say no, the more people think. So just bear with me.
Also, your hair's different. I mean, you had a picture out.
Yeah, I know.
I think you need to apologise for that because, oh my, right, whoa, he is an alien. He is an alien. There's two
Look at
of
what
him.
I could do with Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, that's just technology. It's not actually being an alien.
It's not being an alien. No. Although if you talk to some of my friends, I imagine they would have a different opinion about how alien I am. So I feel really bad actually, kind of listening to all of you kind of talk about it, because so what I hope to give you today is some of the kind of, I'm going to say science, because if I tell you it's math, some of you might switch off, but some of the kind of technical sort of speak that goes with the kind of existence of aliens. And then you can decide whether or not you're kind of, as I put it, a pessimist or an optimist about the universe towards the end. So I'm going to talk to you about where are all the aliens, okay? So Louise kind of hinted towards that. It's like, you know, if they're out there, where are they? So let's get started. A little bit about me. So why should you listen to anything I have to say? Like normally I'm just that face that appears under Manchester Sunday Assembly, keeping the tech host running. I describe myself as a space adjacent engineer because if you say you're work in space, everyone accuses you of being an astronaut or knowing astronauts, and space is more than just astronauts, okay? The UK itself, we've got 2 astronauts. We've got Helen Sharman and Tim Peake, which everyone knows Tim Peake. They might not know Helen Sharman. But actually what we do really well is satellites and robots. Okay, that's what we're really good at. And I've worked in the space industry now for about 6 years. I wasn't necessarily really excited about space, but like I'm a science fiction fan and I love fantasy, but like I didn't really put much thought into space until I started working with some very enthusiastic people about space. And so I've kind of picked up knowledge from them about aliens, okay, about their existence and what that kind of looks like. So, in case you haven't spotted me, there I am. That's a satellite I worked on that takes video from space. So, you know, hopefully I know some of what I'm talking about. So, what does the math of space look like? And I am going to stop calling it science. I feel like one of those kind of parents that hides broccoli and macaroni. Okay, there is going to be some maths, but I don't need you to understand the maths. It's just a talking point. And in the 60s, there was this guy called Frank Drake, and he came up with what is now known as the Drake equation as an agenda. So they were going to have a meeting about aliens and, you know, do aliens exist? Can we communicate with them? And while coming up with the agenda for it, he was like, actually, all these things, you could probably put them in an equation and come up with a number. And that's where SETI was sort of born. So SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. There are some now private ventures kind of popping up. There's been one in the news recently because they've kind of picked up a suspect signal from our closest star. And they just kind of scan the skies for aliens, you know, and we haven't yet found any confirmed sources. Okay, so what does that look like? What does the Drake equation look like? Okay, prepare yourselves. Here it comes. Here's an equation. Okay, but don't worry about it. Okay, you don't need to understand what any of this is. Okay, that's fine. I'm just using it as a device to explain how many alien civilizations there are. Okay, so this is trying to work out how many, and this is the key point, how many intelligent civilizations are there. So this isn't about like whether there is alien life everywhere, it's whether it's alien life we could actually talk to, okay? Because in reality, if there is life that doesn't, you know, there might be a planet full of space cows, but they're unlikely to be able to talk to us, okay? So we can't detect them until we can get there. And roughly breaking down, so this first bit's about stars. So how many stars are in the universe? That's actually something we can measure, okay? We can look at the sky and we can tell, you know, how often a star is born roughly and, you know, and how many stars there are. So that one's quite a well-known factor, right? And then the next bit in the equation, this kind of group here, is about planets. So we know there are stars. Do they have planets? And importantly, do they have planets that can host life? And that's where you're talking about, and you may have heard someone talk about it, is the habitable zone or the Goldilocks zone. There's this area that we kind of space, and it depends on how big your star is, like that's at the right temperature that we think you need for life to evolve, okay? And what's important about this one is the knowledge of this is changing all the time. So we didn't really know much about this, and then we got the Kepler Space Telescope, and we point that at stars and we can detect planets, and we're detecting more and more planets. And so now we know how many planets, you know, how likely it is to have, it's just changing all the time. But one of the important issues here is what we are finding out is maybe our solar system isn't normal, okay? So like until we could see planets on other stars, we just thought that what we have, that's the only model we have for a solar system. And the more you look at the universe, the more you're like, oh, actually, maybe we're weird, okay? So it starts changing your kind of view of the universe the more you can view it. And then actually, this tiny bit of the equation is about life, okay? So yes, there's a star, then you have a planet. Can the planet support life? And then what's the likelihood that that life is intelligent and can get to the point where it can communicate, okay? So that's actually only quite a small part of the equation. But again, this is a very variable part of the equation. And, you know, what do you define as intelligent life? A model of life, like we've got one. It's like, this is how life evolves, but it might not be the only way that life can evolve. And then this last one, that one we actually know relatively well as well. That's just time, okay? How long has the universe been around? I say we have a good idea. It's astrophysicists have very wide ranges for things, okay? So we have a rough idea within, you know, a few kind of orders of magnitude as to what that is. So all of this gives you a number, and it's how many civilizations there are. And it's probability and statistics. And I think we've all gotten a little bit, rightfully so, suspect of probability and statistics, because when there's probability and statistics involved, you've got to look for what the agenda is, because this equation can be massaged to give you the answer you want depending on what your agenda is. Okay, so let's answer the question: how many civilizations are there? Trying to use that equation. If you're, as I describe them, maybe a pessimist, or that's just the way I think. Skeptic. Skeptic was the word Louise used. So if you think we are alone in the universe, you can massage that number until it's a very small number. Okay, you don't need to understand what the number means. It's just all those zeros after that decimal point means it's a very small number. Keely, it's a lot less than 1, and we know that equation that should at least be 1, because otherwise we're not considering ourselves as an intelligent civilization. Okay, but what that says is we are likely alone in the universe. But if you think that the life is abundant, you can kind of massage that equation to give you millions of civilizations. Okay, and then, so there's a big range there from nothing to everything. Okay, so some very smart people actually tried to consider it from a slightly different perspective, asked a slightly different question, which is, are we the only technologically advanced species to ever develop in the universe, right? For various reasons, this makes the equation easier, because we know that there is at least one, and then you take the time out of it, okay? And you stop trying to think about whether you're existing at the same time to be able to communicate with each other. And again, this is a very small number. And to explain it, what it says is, it's very unlikely that we are the only technologically advanced species to ever develop in the universe, okay? And to put it in perspective, this is the very small number that one of you won the lottery yesterday, okay? So if anyone plays the lottery, that's the odds that you would have won. And so it's very much less likely we are alone in the universe than it is that you won the lottery. But it is still probability. So though it is very, very unlikely, it doesn't mean it's not the truth, okay? So it's entirely possible we are alone. I try not to think like that. I think that's an awful waste of space. You know, the universe is quite big. If we're the only ones, whew, that's a waste of space. So if life is that abundant in the universe, intelligent life, where is it all? And that's a question that Enrico Fermi, who was an Italian physicist, asked, okay? You know, if it is this abundant, where is everybody? And Louise, in fact, asked that question at the beginning. It's like, you know, why haven't they come and visited us? And that's become known as the Fermi paradox. And I'm going to talk through some of my favorite kind of theories as to why this might be the case. And the first one, okay, it's a big galaxy, okay? This is a fairly obvious one. If you know, our closest star is 4 light years away. And to put that in perspective, it means if we were to send them a message and there was life there, it would take 4 years for that message to get there and then 4 years to get back. And we all have those friends that take months to reply to like a message. You know, if you're taking 8 years for a round trip message, you're just going to give up on them, okay? And it gets worse and worse from that point. You know, to the center of our galaxy is 28,000 light years. Like the furthest object we can see with the naked eye is the Andromeda galaxy. That's 2.5 million light years away. And that's a 5 million year round trip if we were trying to communicate with them, okay? And so this idea of being able to communicate with them, it's an undertaking, isn't it? Because you're not just transmitting, you have to be transmitting at the same time, and you have to be transmitting for a very long time for it to kind of marry up, okay? And the other problem with the big galaxies is like, okay, so maybe communication is an issue. Like, what if we went and visited, okay? So that's something that Fermi was saying, is like, it will only take like 1 million years to cross our galaxy, and the universe is older than that. So where are they all? You know, maybe, and there's a lot of assumptions there. It's like, maybe we can live forever, or maybe there's some magic technology. And so I am a science fiction fan. However, science fiction always has a magic engine. There is always a magic engine, whether it be warp drive, hyperspace, or some kind of wormhole. There's always something that allows you to cover these large distances. But what if that doesn't exist? What if the physics of that just doesn't work? What if there isn't one of these things? So the universe may be full of life. We just can't talk to each other, and we can't get to each other, okay? So that just might be the case, okay? So what's my next one? This one, like, I've always been taught to put the bad news in the middle. So like the distance and loneliness, you know, that sounds like bad news, but the great filter is worse news. Okay, so the idea of the great filter is that civilizations just never get to the point where they can visit everybody. Okay, because the great filter is maybe there's some event either in the future or in the past that we will never get over. Okay, so you could think of the great filter as maybe it is really difficult for complex life to evolve from simple life to evolve from chemicals. So maybe we're already through the great filter, but equally, maybe the great filter is still to come. And you know, it feels like that at the moment. You know, if you look at the world at the moment, there just seems to be a lot of things going wrong, and it's sometimes quite difficult to see how we get past them. But if we can get past them, like, you know, maybe we can be that society that goes out. Now, a slightly less depressing version of life. And I like this one because I'm one of those people at a train station that doesn't use their phone. I'll just be sat there, like staring into space, creeping people out, you know. I'm really good at being bored, you know, just thinking to myself. And it's this idea that as a society gets to a point where they can just simulate everything. You know, they live in, like, anyone who's seen The Matrix, that kind of thing, you know, you just live in a simulated environment. So there's no reason to go anywhere, okay? And you sort of see like some threads of that in our current society. You know, we're kind of heading towards this simulated world. And it's like, well, maybe that's how all societies end up. Maybe we just get to the point where we're like, there's no point, you know, I can just simulate aliens. They're much more interesting, you know, and they might be more interesting. Imagine you're an alien coming to visit us. Are we actually that interesting? Don't know. So maybe you can make some more interesting things up, okay? And then the final one I'm going to start with is the one that scares me the most, okay? And it's not that bad. It's the one that scares me the most because it's the idea that, oh, hang on, I pressed the wrong button. We're the first, okay? So all of this is like the idea that, you know, there've been civilizations before us and that they've got to relative technological level to either contact us or get to us. But what if we are the first to get this far, okay? And that's, I like that because it kind of sharpens your focus. You know, let's try and fix things, guys, because, you know, maybe we are the first. We are the ones who are going to go out into the universe and spread our lessons about how to get this far. Okay, so I think it scares and excites me. Okay, that's a good one. So I know what you're asking now because I've been talking for quite a while. Why does it matter? Okay, why does it matter? Why does it matter if there are aliens out there? You know, why does thinking like this matter? And I've kind of hinted at it a little bit as I go through. And it's, for me, it's humans are really bad at not doing something unless there are consequences, okay? So we will quite happily like ruin everything because like the consequences aren't immediate. And what thinking about this helps us do is kind of externalize that and go, well, you know, alien civilizations, they might struggle to get through this problem or this problem or this problem. And then you're thinking ahead of time, or some people are thinking ahead of time, how I might get through that problem. And so we're not, you know, reacting. So we don't get to that problem in our own civilization and go, oh, we don't know how to fix this. We don't know. It's thinking about those kind of things, those external things. And I think it's like on a personal level, it's like how would you like, how do you think of it, try to think of it like this. How do I change what I do, or how do I make my life better to kind of get that far? So like it gives you a goal, doesn't it? It's like if you think to yourself, you know, what can I do in life to make sure that our society survives to the point where we can kind of spread the joy, as it were, Sunday assembly on a massive basis, because, you know, live better, that helps, right? Helping often, that helps us with the social aspects. And the Wonder More one, that's why I like the simulated world. Like Wonder More is one of my I really love that kind of tenet of Sunday assembly. And one of the things I was asked to do is, can you come up with an activity? And I had a thought about this, and it's not going to be about aliens, but it's, so my first Sunday assembly, okay, I went along, and I have to be careful what I say because they're in the audience, but I went along because I've got one of those friends that's so busy that the only way you can spend any time with them is to go and do the things that they do. So I went along to my first Sunday assembly, and after getting after the awkward, like them trying to high-five me because I was new, once I got past that point, I kind of listened to the talk, and I remember sitting in the talk thinking, if I were to give a talk, what could I give a talk on? Okay, and I came up with the idea then, and that's nearly 6 years ago, about the idea, or 5 years, I don't know. You know, what would I do a talk on? Aliens and why it's important to think about them. Okay, no, the existence of life. How would I do that? And I remember thinking, yeah, but I'm never good enough. Like, because there's some really good speakers, I'm never good enough to do that, right? And here I am doing it. So what I want you to do is I want you to think of something that you are passionate about, or something that you think you could be an expert in, something you could do a talk on, and just, you know, put it in the chat box. Think about what you might give. I know some people have already given these talks. No cheating, come up with a new topic. But just think about what would I give a Sunday Assembly talk? And if you're feeling really brave, let us know, yeah? And maybe we can get you on the program. And I know Louise will chime in a minute because I'm coming to an end, but don't, like, this isn't a plug. We've got stuff to fill our time. It's not like we're running out of people to speak, but, you know, it's a good kind of activity, I think. Just think about what you could give a talk on.
Ladies and gentlemen, yeah. Adam Wade, have you finished or even more to say? Sorry.
No, I'm finished.
Hooray! Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for Adam, there is an opportunity for that, if you wish. Let us know now, but we will have a little chat. As long as I can spotlight myself. Can you
oh yeah, I need to stop sharing.
Down? Is that all right? I'm so sorry. That's why I'm having trouble entering the frame. Hello.
Hello.
You are definitely an alien because you had the alien technology of putting yourself in that Zoom background, which no one has done yet. People are interested. It is possible, and we can tell you, but we're not going to tell you just yet. All you know is that it's alien technology. That is all. Thank you so much for your talk. I feel like saying to London, ha, we got him. Ha, ha, ha. No, I won't say that. But thank you very much for your talk. And I'm so glad you did it. And you're absolutely right. If people are experts in things, like we learned last week about lockdown. I've been thinking about that all week, if you were there at the assembly last week, about how much we know about lockdown because we've done it, and actually we're great experts and great resources in that. So that's made me think about that. So we are an expert in something. It's just what that is, and we're about to find out what that is in a moment. I'd just like to ask a question that arrived from Tony, which we're going to start in at the deep end, if you don't mind, with the question: what do you say to people? This is a very good news question. I can see Tony's been watching the news. Who say that investment in space research is wasteful when we are making cuts to healthcare, education, and military defences? Straight on the political questions, yes. I mean, yeah. I think it's about scales, isn't it? So I think people always pick out the space industry as a great one to kind of try and cut. But there are other things we spend, like we don't actually spend that much, and most of it is commercial. So a lot of public funding, especially in the UK, doesn't necessarily go to the space industry. It's more kind of America. In America, NASA gets like a cut, but NASA's cut is still tiny compared to their budget. It's kind of like a perspective thing, and there are a lot of benefits. So you say, like, so this, without our space industry, you wouldn't have things like GPS, you wouldn't have things like so a lot of the satellites I used to work on are part of the disaster monitoring constellation. So they take images from space, and those are freely available to disaster relief agencies when a disaster happens, and that helps them. So some investment in space is a good thing, okay? And I get that, you know, there are other things we need to be spending our money on. I always laugh when I get the income tax letter from the government that's like, this is what you spend your tax on, and there's like a big chunk on welfare. It's like, I know you're trying to make me angry, but you're not making me angry. Why is it not bigger? Why is that not a bigger chunk? I do think it's funny, isn't it? Because someone said that you should be happy when you get your tax bill because you're paying for stuff that help either you or other people. No one is. No one is happy, I might add, but that's what people have said.
So public money does get spent on these kind of things, but I think it is well invested. Like I think there are other places you could probably cut money from.
And I do think, again, reading an article recently about Apple and other companies that use phone technology and online stuff, that GPS and that sort of thing, we all paid for that with our own money. That was paid for by us. We wouldn't have GPS and various other things if taxpayers hadn't paid for all this anyway. And I'm sure it helps with advancement of technology. I'm sure I've heard that the space race although it seemed kind of silly in some ways, seemed to have paid for quite a lot of technology, quite a lot of research in how we as humans live. I mean, if you can work out how we survive in space, you can also work out how we survive on Earth from a medical point of view.
There is a lot of that, and you saw it during the pandemic. So with the kind of speed that the vaccines were developed is very similar to how the space race, and they were all calling it the moonshot. And that's the thing. If you put resources in, there are bright people that will use that resource to solve whatever problem you throw at them. So at the time, it was that. When you got things like it's silly things like Velcro, isn't it? Like Velcro, you wouldn't have had without the space industry. And it's just like and some people make the same argument for motor racing, but I'm not into motor racing, so you know.
And I think it's that I think this is a completely nonsense story that is not true. But there's that story of people went on about people trying to invent the pen, and then someone trying to invent a pen, and then someone just turned up with a biro or a pencil or something.
Yeah, this is the Fisher pressurized. Well, this is the thing. It's the Fisher pressurized space pen, which my parents got me when I was a kid. Okay, and they developed it so that you could write upside down because there was this fear that you couldn't, because there's no gravity. Well, there is gravity, but because you're in this low gravity environment, biros wouldn't work. Now, biro works fine in space because the thing that stops you writing upside down on the planet is the gravity pulling like the ink away. The myth is that the Russians just used a pencil. You don't use pencils in space because that's graphite. And graphite's not a good thing. But a biro, a plain biro is fine. Like a biro works fine.
People did tell that story for it because it's quite, again, it's that mythical thing. It's quite, oh, that sounds like it makes sense. But as you said, it makes no sense because graphite would just float about. Let's have a look at some questions that have come in. I just love some comments. People have said about whether we count as intelligent life. And I know people do say this a lot. Phil's got a great point. Based on his extended family, and I mean this no disrespect to Phil's family because he wrote this, just because a being is intelligent doesn't mean we can talk to it. Anyone who's ever met a teenager will know that. Sean has got a great comment as well. I'm always blown away when they say we know less about the sea than space, and that's why I don't like swimming in the sea. And Jaws. I'm with you. I don't even like putting my feet on the carpet because of Jaws, Sean. Let's see what else we've got here. I just love the way it sparks people's imagination. Judith's just warning you, if you do meet an alien and it says take me to your leader, please don't. Certainly don't take them to the host of Sunday Assembly. Although it would be nice to meet them. Let's have a look what else we've got. Exactly. And by the way, thank you for being so gentle with maths for us. That we don't feel.
I think my original presentation, I had a scary equation in there to try and like scare you, but just so that when I showed you the Drake equation, you went, and then I was like, no, that'll switch people off. I'll take that out.
We could all be maths PhDs for all you know, Adam.
No, because this is the thing. I'm an engineer, and people think engineers are good at maths. And we're not good with numbers. That's the misconception. Like they always try and get engineers to settle the bill. Like when you're in a restaurant, like I can't do that. My mental maths is rubbish. But like, you know, there is even maths that scares us.
So you've had some beautiful compliments as well, Adam, just to let you know. Tony has said it's dazzlingly good. You're making complex issues very accessible and intriguing, which is a brilliant skill. Do you have any comments? He's just ignoring. Look at him. He's so he's not taking that on, is he? He's not taking that compliment on. He's just
it's great. I was just thinking, you know, I think in a short span of time it's fine, but I've got lots of friends who get this all the time, and they tend to switch off. Yeah, I think my mum would disagree as well. I think my mum's had to put up with it for like 35 years. So
your mum has helped by the practice has made it great. Tony's brought up a good point about aliens on distant planet having the capabilities to download Zoom. Or Outlook Teams, other platforms are available, and Phil points out, but by the time they download it, that version of the software will be obsolete. I mean, the amount of updates on Zoom, it's like dizzying, isn't it? Absolutely dizzying. So yeah, we've had loads of people enjoying it. If we explore anywhere, Sean wants to warn us to not build any more pound shops.
What's wrong with a good pound shop?
So we just mentioned Velcro being invented. What about pot noodles? Are you telling me that pot noodles are space food? Seriously?
I don't know if pot noodles are space food, but dehydrated food is a space thing. So if you ever go to like Florida or you visit any of the NASA things, you can buy like freeze-dried ice cream and freeze-dried like chips, and I can't remember what other stuff someone brought back for me once. But so that is a technology that may have been a space one. I don't know that personally, but it's plausible.
Let's have a look then at some suggestions of people's speeches, which was great to recruit people. But it wasn't even a recruiting thing. It was just, I mean, we didn't know you were going to do it because we were like, what? But yeah, but we are interested in you. We want you to speak. We just don't want you to speak if you don't want to. But if you do, then please let us know what you're expert on. And we've all got a talk in us. Someone once told me we've all got 10 minutes of stand-up comedy in us. Now, I'm not going to make you do 10 minutes of stand-up comedy. But if you've got 10 minutes of stand-up comedy, you've got a 10-minute talk. So on something, things. Sean suggested that he could discuss his attempts at wheelchair basketball and a long, torturous career. Thank you for that. That sounds incredibly interesting. Let's go to CJ, who's our guest from Detroit. I had the same thought at my first assembly and just spoke at our last assembly. Well done, CJ, about Harry Houdini's quest to disprove mediums. Can we have you here, CJ? You're welcome to speak here if you'd like. I'd also like to have a talk about the history of makeup as a form of counterculture. We'll also have that, so we'll book you in. No, I'm joking, but you are welcome. Experts in lockdown was used from last week. Lisa says, a wonderful exercise. Yeah, absolutely. We haven't had a lot of people coming forward with talks. Come on, get it written down. Sean said that he would spend on space and not war, which is fair enough. So we've had lots of conversations.
I try to avoid saying that, but
well, it's an opinion that we've
try to be neutral.
We're very neutral, but we are allowed to express opinions, but not our own. Here we go. Math. Goodness me! Come on, I want to know what talks you're going to do. Phil's telling us the first freeze drying was done by the Incas. Right, we've only had 2 people come up with a talk. Write it down now. You're not going to be made to do it. To be clear.
Just try and think about what you might. And I was careful. Expert is maybe the wrong word to use. I don't always like the word expert.
I know, but
something you're passionate about. Yeah.
We've got this thing about experts. I mean, I have the books I've read, the things I've done, mate, and I still don't feel like I know anything.
Well, the expert for me in industry is always like the expert is the person you go to when you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, but you want them to tell you it's okay. So you kind of already know, and you're like, come on, give me the excuse, expert. Like I want to do this thing.
And we have got some interesting talks. Sean said he can talk for more than 2 if it helps, so we can do part 1 and part 2. Ian would like to do a dentist career titled "A Nipple Called Ian." Okay. I honestly don't know what to say. And Lynn is going to do a history of Hume. That'd be quite interesting, actually. We used to be based in Hume. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Keep thinking. I'm not going to let you off thinking of what you're an expert in. You lot. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please go wild for an absolutely brilliant talk from Adam Wade?
Thank you.
A talk that brewed in his mind and came out the other side with great joy. So well done. And this is just the beginning, I know, Adam. So if you can go off and write another one, that'd be great. I'm joking. But
remember, I gave you options when we were discussing this.
Did you? What was your other option?
I can tell you why leaves on the line are an issue for trains.
I want to know that. I don't know how we're going to sell that though.
Yeah. Space debris. I can do one on space debris.
Oh yes, I want to hear about space debris. Oh, it's very messy in space. We'll do that in the future. Thank you very much to Adam, and thank you very much to Sharena for being just amazing speakers today. We are going to stop the recording in a second. Just to let you know, if you are watching the recording back, parts of the assembly are not on here. We just do the middle bit for you. So there is so much fun that goes on at an assembly apart from this. We are going to do our moment of reflection. But before we do that, I'm just going to sum up a little bit before we say goodbye to YouTube. So there we go. Where do the recordings go? Interesting. At the moment they go nowhere, but they are going to go on YouTube. So when that happens, we'll let you know. It's just to have an archive of our stuff, and also for people on different time zones if they want to know what we're about, because we've done it for nearly a year now. We had such great speakers. We didn't want to we want a bit of a look back on the work we've done, so that's yeah, we're going to launch them into space. So they're not anywhere at the moment, but they will be put on YouTube as an archival place. And you'll know that if you're watching this video, because that's where you found it. So just to sum up then, our theme today was aliens, and certainly Adam and Sharena have both given us very much food for thought on the presence of aliens. It has raised a lot of questions. Perhaps we are the first of the beings to get into the state that we're in, the intelligence that we are. And I know we always say, are we intelligent? But wow, think about what we can do. That's always a joke on what is intelligence, but being able to communicate, building this world that we've built, having a vaccine like we have, getting rid of other diseases in the past like smallpox, technology, the ability to meet each other around the world in this way. Yes, there are always some downsides to this sort of thing, and we can always feel overwhelmed. My mum said to me the other day, I hate the fact that the computer was invented. It brings nothing but pain and sorrow. And I do understand spam emails and all sorts of nonsense going on online, and people mithering you 24/7. But we know that it has these great sides, and there is so much to be grateful for what humanity has given. I mean, I'm sure in our talk about dentistry that we're going to hear from Ian, you know, there was a time when if a woman got married, and this was just like Victorian times, I think, if a woman got married, sometimes a husband would have her teeth removed because it was too expensive to pay for the repairs. You know, just think of what we're able to do to keep our teeth going, how amazing we are to keep people's lives going. And we will look back on our medical system and say, oh, we were so barbaric in 2020, weren't we? But we're lucky to have this, because we're evolving and changing all the time in what we can do. So I do think that is yeah, an amazing thing to bear in mind, the great wonder. I think we can feel very pessimistic and we can take things for granted. Space, will we ever meet our aliens? The scary thing is, what if we're the invaders and these guys are frightened? He might be frightened of us. We're frightened that they're going to come and they're going to be scary with the ray guns, and it might be us. So let's not let us be the scary ones. Not that we want them to be either, but we want to meet aliens and actually learn from each other. What if the aliens can teach us things and technologies that will change our lives? What if we can help them? It could be beautiful. I mean, it could be awful, but it could also be beautiful. So I'll leave it with that. And I hope you look up at the night sky and you say to yourself, I might be in lockdown, but you never know. Someone else, you know, as to quote Disney, someone else might be looking at the same big sky and having a look back. I'm just waving at someone's just dropped some off. Thanks, mate. I'm just doing an assembly to myself. Yeah, so have a think about that and have a wonder. So we'll just stop YouTube for now, and then we'll end our assembly.